let's take a look at a service monitor because, again, as we said, Windows service monitors look a little different. Here we have a Windows Service Monitor. I actually put this change my name please on purpose because I see a lot of times when people add a component, it says Windows Service Monitor there, right there on the screen. You can change it. Click the check mark, rename. We're going to call this what it is, here we go, WMI Service Monitor for Leon.
So the importance of this really is as you're building up your templates, as you're creating new component monitors, you know what this component monitor was used for. It helps in repurposing it for uses within other templates. But to your point, right, it's really, really important not to just have that generic name on there that came when the component monitor was added.
Right.
Let's be specific about kind of what we're trying to actually monitor with the component monitor.
Also because when you build your alerts, I can't tell you the number of times I've seen an alert come in that says, you know, Windows Service Monitor is down. Which one? Well, it's looking for the name to tell you what that is. So for Windows Service Monitor, again, you've got the credential for monitoring. Now, since this is WMI, it's using Windows authentication.
Correct.
You'll want to use either one of the preset ones or inherit from the node if you're monitoring the node with WMI. I want to point out here, you can't add it here.
Correct.
So you're going to have to go in and add it prior to this screen if that's what you need.
Correct.
And again, I've also tried to right-click and go to another tab and add. It will not pick up here. You have to save, come back. So make sure that you have your credentials in there before you start.
It's one of those base aspects of monitoring, right? Make sure you've got your credential store set up. That way you can leverage that credential store in any aspect that you're doing.
Exactly. I'm going to come back to fetching method in a minute, but the service name, the nets, and even it says net service name, because really what that is a hint to say that if you went to the command line, because I love the command line because, you know, I'm me, this is the name that would appear under net start.
So let's make sure we highlight this, right?
Yeah.
In the process, we're looking at the actual process name, the
executable.
Mm-hmm. From a service monitoring perspective, we're actually looking for the common service name that you would find in this list.
Right. So here it's print spooler, once again, status. We're not, we don't need to talk much more about that. And actually, that's a thing for the whole episode again. If we've covered it once, we're not going to cover it again. So don't think that we're giving you short shrift. You just have to go back and earlier on in the episode. All right, so fetching method. We have fetching method WMI, fetching method RPC.
So it's interesting, right? Which one do we choose?
Right. The simple, short answer is that if you're inside your organization and you're not crossing any firewalls and you're not going across a VPN, you probably want WMI. If you are doing those things, you might want RPC. Going a little bit larger, WMI uses a lot of ports. It uses port 135 to set up RPC. It uses port 445 for WMI, and then it uses any number of ports it wants between 1024 and 535.
Yeah, whatever the operating system assigns.
And it will change
constantly
in the middle of a conversation. So it's not even like once it sets up, establishes the connection, it's going to float. It uses what are called ephemeral ports.
Right.
So WMI uses lots and lots of ports, which make anybody who's managing your firewall incredibly unhappy. So you typically don't do that. RPC, on the other hand, uses a very small number of ports that you can see on the slide. And you know, so it's a little bit easier. But there's some things you can't do with RPC, which is why we tend to encourage people to use WMI within their organization.
Yep.
So that's the fetching method in brief. And that's it. That's it for service monitoring.
Yeah, everything else, you know, we had talked about it previously in terms of the thresholdings, the baselines, et cetera. That all applies here.